Let's continue with the meeting. Item 4. This is 372 EP, a 30 classroom primary school at Area 89, northern side, Tung Chung. Paper number PWSC 2024-25, number 27. The paper proposes to upgrade 372 EP to Cat A at an estimated cost of $594.3 million in money of the day prices. On the 7th of February 2025, the government consulted the panel on education. Members supported the funding proposal. They support the submission of the project for our consideration. The salient points of discussions by the panel has already been emailed to members on the 24th of March. You have the list of government representatives attending this item. I will dispense with the introduction. I'll read out the names of members who would like to speak. Mr. Chen Pui Leung, Mr. Shanghai Long, Mr. Tang Fei, Mr. Chen Hock Fong, Mr. Andrew Lam, Mr. Chu Kok Keung, Ms. Lam So Wai. 4 minutes each. We'll start with Mr. Chen Pui Leung. My first question is relating to works. This project is similar to the previous one. Similar in terms of design and layout. In the breakdown, I see that the cost for foundation is a lot lower, but there is an addition of geotechnical works, $87 million. It explains that it is about ground improvement works. Is it because it is reclaimed land? That's why you need to conduct ground improvement works? This is a new school, not a site for reprovisioning like the last item. It will bring an additional 750 school places, but you have not mentioned about the additional demand. You only say that it's expected to be able to cope with additional demand. There are a number of primary schools in that area. Is it the case that existing primary schools cannot take in more students? This is a 30 classroom primary school. It offers 750 school places. Is it sufficient to cope with future demand? Will it be fully used? I thank the member for the question. I will first address the second part of his question. There are about 130,000 residents living in Tung Chung at the moment. From this year to 2030, for the new development area, there will be an additional 180,000 residents. The first phase of public housing will complete this year. There is a principle of studying where you live. Principle of vicinity policy. That's why we need to construct a new primary school to meet future additional demand. We'll continue to review additional demand for primary schools with additional population. Then we will make plans for creating additional school places. We assume that there will be 25 students per class, and all 30 classes will be filled. There will be an additional 750 school places. Just like what we mentioned in the past item. At the start, not all classes will operate. We will keep in view the need for school places before we make a decision. The member made a comparison about the breakdown of items in the cost, foundation, and geotechnical works. In the Kutong North project, there is a semi-submerged basement. Excavation is involved. That's why. The member's understanding of the Tung Chung project is correct. It is in a reclaimed area, that is Area 89. The depth of rock is about 65 to 143 meters. That is the height of about 420 to 40 stories of a building. It's very deep. There are a lot of rocks embedded underground. It has a more complex geographical condition. So we make use of different construction methods to reinforce the ground of the school. That's why it's reflected in a separate item in the project cost breakdown. Next, Mr. Shanghai Long. There are currently 130,000 people living in the area. There will be an additional 180,000, an increase by about 150%. I support in principle the building of a new school to meet demand. Well, it says that there are about 216 classes, about 5,400 school places at the moment. Well, this is the second project about the school. Well, there will be large-scale development in the northern metropolis. There are other projects as well. Can you tell me how many more school projects will come to us this year? I asked the Undersecretary to reply to the second part of the question, even though that is not directly related to this discussion item. There is one in Fanling North Development Area. It's a reprovisioning project. It will come to the PWSC in the second quarter. There is another proposed project. We plan to consult the panel on education at the beginning of May. It's a reprovisioning of a school in Anderson Road. The member asked about information in paragraph 12. The number of school places in aided schools, that is 5,400 school places. In the school year 24-25, we have in Tung Chung about 4,600 students. So there is sufficient school places to meet additional demand for schools before this project is completed. By 2030, there will be a marked increase in population. We want to make use of this new aided primary school to meet additional demand. On top of that, we need to make use of existing school places in aided primary schools. Relying solely on the 750 additional places may not be able to meet the additional demand for school places from the 180,000 additional population. Thank you. Next, Mr. Tang Fei. We've discussed it in the panel on education. I support the construction of a new primary school in Tung Chung. It's impractical to ask primary schools to travel to a different district to go to school. I would like to ask something about paragraph 13. There are 8 reserved school sites in Tung Chung, but currently they are used by different government departments. It's expected that they will be reverted to the EDB in 28 and 29. So, are these sites under the list of the EDB on loan to other departments? What are they used for? 2028 and 29 is not too far away in the future. Will the EDB conduct an assessment before 2028 to see if these sites are needed for schools? If there is no need, then the sites will be used by other departments. Is that the case? Undersecretary, I thank the member for his support. The member asked about other reserved school sites. Government departments have put to appropriate use these reserved sites. It is done by a temporary government land allocation for short-term uses. These sites are used for the support of the development of the new development area. There are different projects going on in that area. We need sites for storage, site offices. So these are used for ancillary or supporting work. When the project is completed, the sites will go back to the EDB. We will closely monitor the new development of population and supply and demand of school places. We will monitor planning of schools and will start projects in a timely manner to ensure that there is sufficient supply. Are these 8 sites planned for schools? Planned as schools? Yes. Next, Mr. Chen Hock-Fong. I support the project. I have some questions, though. The planning of these projects are late. Chung Tung Estate in Tung Chung are allocating units, but this school will only be completed in 2029. So residents can't use this school when they move in. I asked the government to review the timetable of these supporting facilities. When residents move in, there is no public market, no social welfare facilities, no schools. If there is better planning for the commissioning of these facilities in tandem, that means residents don't have to wait. The government needs to review its policy. Please talk to the Development Bureau. I won't ask about MIC. Plenty of questions were put in the last item. I want to ask about the design. Next to the site is Yingtung Estate, and then there is a refuse collection center. My ward office is quite close to the refuse collection center. Domestic waste from the entire estate will go to that refuse collection center. But next door there is a school. Can you give me more information about the measures you have in place? The entire reclaimed area in Tung Chung is a construction site. Someone mentioned about congestion at the junction of Yingtung Road. What is the coordination between existing traffic and the additional traffic from the construction project? Residents of Yingtung Estate are often stuck in traffic for about an hour or two at the junction of Yingtung Road.
You have asked questions that involve some broader scope of the policy, or especially for transportation, especially the transportation load caused by construction. Perhaps the Secretary could respond to this portion of his question first. Thank you, Chairman, and thank you for Mr. Chen's support to this project. You have asked 3 questions. First of all, as for the planning timetable, we try to be as pragmatic as we can. As mentioned in the Queen Hill project in the Northern District, we planned to complete other facilities in line with the public housing so that when residents move in, they can choose to study at the schools in that area. Tung Chung is a little bit different, as explained in the documents, because there are still some existing school places. We have the total supply of 5,400 school places here. As for the total number of students, we have 4,600, so that is a 800 additional school places available. The housing will be completed in phases in Tung Chung. If we complete the school too early, well, since it is a new school premise, they might be able to attract a lot of students. On the other hand, other schools in the same area might have to reduce the number of classes or have reduced students' intake. It will hamper the stable development of the whole area. That's why I said we try to be pragmatic. We will monitor the development of the population and decide the building of new aided primary school. Your second question is about the refuse collection point in Yingtung Estate. As it completed in 2018, the Yingtung Estate did require a refuse collection point. Therefore, we have arranged for one inside the public housing estate. We are also in close contact with the housing authority. In terms of management, Yingtung Estate will clean the refuse collection point twice every day to ensure that it is up to the hygiene level. Housing authority will also inspect the area on a regular basis to ensure proper hygiene. In the future, we will also be in close touch with the school. If there is any undesirable situations, certainly we will reflect such situations to related government departments. Regarding the design, in a primary school, there will be a 2.5 meter height hoarding separating it from the public housing estate. We will have about 5 meters of distance between the school and the refuse collection point. For the connecting area, it is the emergency access and the power plant, as well as toilets inside the primary school. Therefore, the proximity of the refuse collection point has already been considered. We have tried to minimize its impact to the school. Your third question is about transportation. Next to this primary school premise, we see a public transportation center, and we believe that most of the public and the teachers, students will be able to go to school by bus or on foot. If necessary, we can also arrange for school buses. On the new school premises, there are also 3 laybys for school buses and 5 laybys for private cars, as well as 10 laybys for private cars and taxis. Therefore, they don't need to park on roadside. We trust that the commencement of this new school will not pose any obvious impact to the nearby traffic. I think it is an undesirable design because it is close to the refuse collection point. I hope that it can be mitigated by better management. Next, Mr. Andrew Lam. Thank you, Chairman. Mr. Chen Pula has already asked the question that I had, that is the one regarding foundational work, and I have no further questions. Next, Mr. Chu Kwok Kang. Thank you, Chairman. In the floor plan, I can see that next to the school, towards the south, it has been marked as site for government, institution, or community use. As I understand, it plans to build a secondary school. In early years, actually, we planned for the Xi'an Education Organization to have 3 trained schools, that is primary and secondary school together. Is the land use remain unchanged, or has it been dedicated to other purposes? Under Secretary. Thank you, Chairman and Mr. Chu. Regarding the land use in Tung Chung, well, including the land that you mentioned, we will continue to review the plan of building a new secondary school. We have initial plans to add new secondary school in Tung Chung, but it is still at early stage. If we have any further information, we will come back to the panel at Legislative Council and follow up. Thank you. Next, Ms. Lam So-wai. Thank you, Chair. Well, there is a new school planned in Tung Chung. There will be an additional of 750 school places. It seems to be sufficient. Have you considered any underlying potential issues? There will be tens of thousands of residents who will move in new. How many of them are of school age? Since the birth rate continued to drop from 2025 to 2031, the population of school age population will drop from 48.6 thousand to 37,000. So it is a structural decrease. Apart from the grassroots level population, there are also residents of higher income. After the completion of this aided primary school, are they really going to apply for it, or are they going to apply for other schools in other school nets? Upon the provision of sufficient school places, can you ensure sufficient demand? Would there be a mismatch? How can you ensure the students' intake? Because it has a capital cost of 600 million Hong Kong dollars. Can you make sure that in terms of cost management and other factors are being well considered? There are also primary school projects in plan in other districts in Hong Kong. Since we are already having a deficit in a budget, I hope that we can have proper use of government resources. Questions about student intake. Thank you, Chairman and Ms. Lam. the future, we will continue to monitor the future student intake. As we can see, there will be an additional 180,000 of new population. In 2030, when this school is completed, the residents will be moving in phases. Compared to the existing population of 130,000, it is actually doubled in size. As for school population, we have around 46,000 primary school students. 4,600. Well, although we have not fully utilized all the school places, by building one additional primary school, we do see such needs. Well, to be frank, it might not even be enough. Because the future population will be more than doubled than the existing population, so it might not be enough. That's why we have reserved other lands in Tung Chung. We will continue to review the situation. We are not planning a number of schools all at once because we do understand the importance of proper use of public resources. For both the Tung Chung project and other projects in Hong Kong, we will continue to be cautious. We will not plan a school that lacks student intake. We will also not plan to have a new school that might cause insufficient student intake of other schools in the same area. As mentioned by other members, some of them even questions about the lateness of this school. Actually, we are just being pragmatic. We are considering the actual timetable of the residents moving in all these plannings. Next, Mr. Long Han Bill. Regarding this primary school project in Area 89 in Tung Chung, after reviewing the administration document, I think it is worth supporting because I do see such needs. The document is very practical. Since I'm quite late to speak, many questions of mine have already been covered. There is only one question remains. Given the quality of the soil here, there needs to be some geotechnical work. You need to have some ground improvements. So there will be an additional of 87 million Hong Kong dollars. In paragraph 13, you mentioned that there are remaining 8 reserved school sites, and they are now currently used by various government departments. They are expected to return to EDB between 2028 and 2029. For these 8 sites, do they share similar ground quality of this particular site? Because of the soil quality, you are spending an addition of 87 million. Because of that, will you reconsider the other sites remaining? Would you consider to swap it with other government departments so that you can save the cost of ground improvement of up to 87 million Hong Kong dollars? And the Secretary. Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, Mr. Long, for your support. Regarding the soil quality, as far as I understand, Area 89 is a reclaimed land. For the lands in other areas, they are of different quality. As we commence other school projects, or if we are going to build any additional schools, we will certainly have close contact with the Development Bureau and ASD. We will not build all the schools at once. There will be priorities. If it is not building schools, it will still be dedicated for other use. If we are saving costs at our department, some other government department will still have to pay for it. We understand your concerns. Unless we're going to leave it vacant. Otherwise, if you are going to construct any buildings, for school building, it is only of a 6 to 7 story. It is not a complex construction work. I'm no expert, but anyway, we will be in close contact with the related government bodies. We understand your concerns.
Next, Ms. Lillian Kwok. I wasn't going to speak, but I'd like to make my stance clear. I support this project. I hope that the work will start as soon as possible. Well, Yingtong Estate started population intake in 2018, as my fellow member, Mr. Chen Hock-Fong, mentioned. Some students go to the old district for school, but there is no school bus. It's supposed to be a drive of 10 minutes, but students now take 40 minutes to go to school. It's rather late if this school is only to be commissioned in 2029. I asked the administration to do better when in their planning. You mentioned about buses, transportations, future development. I believe that you have heard that a lot of school bus operators have ceased to operate. Are you going to coordinate and provide assistance to address this issue? Undersecretary, anything to add? I thank Ms. Kwok for her support. I have already explained. We don't think this project is late. I joined the Education Bureau in 2021. At that time, we have already started meeting with the school sponsor. The site was allocated to the school sponsor, Shiyan Educational Organization, 2 decades ago. We think that now is the right time to start construction. We ask members for their support so that the school will be completed as soon as possible. Transport issues in the district. We think that majority of students of the school live in Tung Chung. There is no need for them to travel far. Students can walk or take public transport to go to school. We don't think that it will generate additional pressure on local traffic. School bus operators told us about the challenges they face. We will remain close contact with school bus operators. Mr. Lo Wai Kwok, I support the 2 projects for schools. We face with an unpleasant reality. In some districts, especially old ones, there are schools with insufficient student intake. They face the risk of school closure. At the same time, in new development areas, there are new schools. So on one hand, we have school closures. On the other, we have new schools. That is the natural law of urban development. There is nothing we can do. We need early planning to meet demand. I support the 2 proposals. However, I find that there is a need to repeat this. You need to make good use of resources in the form of vacant school premises as a result of school closures. We don't want the Education Bureau to be accused of not making good use of resources. The vacant school premises may be transferred to the government property agency. But in any event, making good use of vacant school premises is an important issue. NGOs need space. Vacant school premises is perfect for them. We have the youth post hostel in Kai Tak. Maybe the premises can be used as youth post hostels as well. Well, I've touched on policy issues, but I feel the need to mention it. It's very important. Undersecretary, would you like to reply? I thank Mr. Low for his support for the 2 projects. It is very clear that policy of vacant schools is to surrender the premises to other government departments. One such premises was swiftly converted for housing, transitional housing, light public housing. We do not keep vacant school premises when we have no use for them. We will expedite turnover. If members don't have any other questions, I will put this item to the vote. Those in favor of PWSC 2024-25 number 27, please raise their hands. Those against, please raise their hands. I think the question is agreed by a majority of members who have voted. The item is endorsed. In relation to further discussions in the Finance Committee, in accordance with 41A of the Public Works Subcommittee procedure, I put the question to the vote. This subcommittee recommends further discussion of the proposal in PWSC 24-25 number 27 in the Finance Committee. Let me remind members, if this question is passed, that means the subcommittee recommends further discussions in the Finance Committee. If this question is negative, that means the subcommittee does not recommend further discussions in the Finance Committee. Those in favor, please raise their hands. Those against, please raise their hands. I think the question is negative. It's not agreed by majority of members who have voted. The subcommittee does not recommend the further discussion of the proposal in PWSC 2425 number 27 in the Finance Committee. All these items will be submitted to the Finance Committee in or after May 2025. Date of next meeting. It will take place on the 16th of April 2025 between 8:30 and 10:30. Members, please attend on time. I thank members for attending. Thank you very much. Meeting adjourned.